Trees are a long-term project in any garden. They last a lifetime, so you want to make sure you choose the best one for your situation and get it planted right. Here's how. For basically any tree, the only things you'll need are garden mix and compost, your tree, wooden stakes, tree tie, and some staples and a hammer to attach it with. Next, you need to decide where you want to plant. If it's close to the house, think about spreading roots and leaves in your gutters. On a boundary, neighbours can cut any branches on their side, so leave yourself enough room. And in an established bed, allow enough space for the tree to grow and existing plants to mature. Once you have your spot, it's time to think about type. There are 3 main types. Fruit trees, great for an edible garden, evergreen trees, which keep their green foliage year-round, or deciduous trees, which drop their leaves in winter so are perfect for letting more light in through those darker months. Some common deciduous options are crabapple, flowering cherry, maple and birch. Evergreens have a wide range of both native and exotic to choose from. And fruit trees are always a favourite. Today I've decided to plant this deciduous crabapple tree. Spacing wise, make sure he's got enough room to grow. So I've got it placed here in between the maple tree and this fence. Right, I've soaked the base of the root ball to get it really moist last night in some seaweed tonic. This is going to help with any transplant shock. Really important to do this before we put it in the hole. So let's start digging. I want that to be about twice as wide. I'm going to aim to go twice as deep as the pot. Now, this soil's nice and loose. But if it wasn't, now would be the perfect time to get some gypsum in the hole before planting. That's looking pretty good. Just gonna test the depth of our hole, putting the pot in. I'm happy with that. Got lots of room around the sides. Just gonna backfill the hole with some compost and some garden mix. With this, you wanna get a good generous base layer for the tree to sit on. It's actually good to add back in a little bit of the topsoil that you dug out of the hole originally. It's got plenty of nutrients in it. Just mix that through. Great, now we've prepped the base of that hole. Check that this is flush, which I'm happy with there. Time to get this out of its pot. Gently lift and place it in the hole. Now this root ball is quite loose because we soaked it last night, but if yours was root bound, it's really important to just tease out the roots so the tree can get established. Time to backfill. Now the aim is here, get the hole about 3/4 full. So make sure your tree's straight, and then just give this a good press down, nice and firm. You can use your feet. The reason we only fill this 3/4 is because we're actually going to give it a good water before we fill the last of it up. Right, so you're going to be really generous with the water here. Pretty much want to fill this hole, and the roots are going to love this. We'll just let that soak in before we backfill. That looks good. We'll just let's head around, make sure it's away from the trunk. And you just give that a good firm press down with your feet. Right, now the next really important step with trees is staking. In a sheltered spot, a single stake is fine to keep your tree anchored and growing straight. On a windier site, or if your tree is root bound, we recommend double or triple staking for extra stability. Secure your ties below the branches so you don't damage future growth. On a slope, use a stake at a 45-degree angle, leaning into the prevailing wind so that the tree grows straight. A bit of sway is actually important as it encourages the trunk to strengthen, and depending on the site, keep your tree staked for 6 months to a year. For my tree here, I've chosen to go with a double stake. Just get yourself a sledgehammer, avoid the root ball when you do this. It just needs to be deep enough so that it holds nice and firmly. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. Again, just making sure you're not hitting the root ball. Great. Then get your tree tie and something to cut it with. Just attach it to the first side. To secure the tie, you can use a gun stapler or just your regular hammer and nails. I'm using some tree tie here, so it's nice and wide, and it's nice and soft on the trunk as well. You don't want to put any real pressure on it. And then just attach it on, come back around. Just make sure that's nice and tight. Attach that there and trim it off. Right, now a bit of mulch and a good watering in, and we're done. Once your new tree is nice and settled, you can remove the original stake. Plant your tree at any time, but autumn or winter is the best to get them established. Soak the whole area around the tree once a week for the first year, or twice a week if it's hot. When established, regular watering is fine. Feed with a slow-release fertilizer in spring and autumn to make the most of the growing seasons. Prune trees to shape or control the size. For bigger trees, you might need to call an arborist. As a general rule, prune a third of the wood out in winter, along with any dead or diseased branches. And that's it. Choose and plant your tree carefully, and it'll be your favourite thing in the garden. Easy as. And make sure you subscribe to the Mitre YouTube channel for more great content, or click here to watch more.